Think time is on your side in preparing for your USCIS asylum interview? If you recently applied or plan to do so in the near future, you need to think again, because right now, many asylum seekers are getting scheduled within just weeks of applying. That's right, you could go from submitting your application to sitting in front of an asylum officer in less than a month. If that happens to you, you need to be ready. I'm going to tell you exactly how to prepare for your asylum interview when time is short, and we're starting right now. I'm Brian Manning, and I used to be an asylum officer with the government. But now, as an asylum lawyer, I help immigrants all over the country secure their future in America through asylum. Let me know in the comments if you've got an asylum case pending or are considering applying. I'd especially like to hear from you if you've been waiting for an asylum interview for multiple years. Let me know in the comments how long you've been waiting. Imagine sending in your asylum application, assuming it'll be years before you hear anything, only to find an interview notice in your mailbox just weeks later. You applied thinking you'd have time to prepare, but now you've got barely any time at all. If this is you, you're not alone. Right now, many asylum seekers are being scheduled for interviews within 1 to 3 months of applying, sometimes even sooner. This is happening because asylum officers suddenly have more availability to process cases under the last in, first out policy. For years, officers were tied up handling credible fear interviews at the southern border. But with fewer people arriving in recent months to seek asylum at the border, those officers are now shifting back to affirmative asylum cases, and they're starting with the most recent applicants first. That means if you filed recently, your case is likely getting scheduled ahead of people who have been waiting for years. If you've received an interview notice and are panicking, I get it. This interview is one of the most important moments of your life. Your ability to stay safe and to stay in the United States depends on how well you do. You can't afford to be unprepared. And that's why I'm going to walk you through exactly what to do if your interview is happening sooner than expected. So, how do you get started? Well, the first thing you need to do is get your documents in order. Your goal should be to make it as easy as possible for the asylum officer to understand why you qualify for asylum. The best way to do that is to create an asylum roadmap. This is what we call the filing of supporting documentation that we submit for our clients. We call it this because it serves as a map that helps the asylum officer get to the answer yes in the case as easily and quickly as possible. This is the structured, organized way to present your case so that the officer can follow your story clearly and see how you meet all asylum requirements. The first element of the asylum roadmap is your personal statement, also sometimes referred to as a declaration or an asylum story. It's probably the most important document in your entire case. This needs to be done thoughtfully. Take great care in giving the officer the information they need to deeply understand your case and see how you check all the boxes for asylum eligibility. Done well, your declaration can put you in great shape ahead of your asylum interview. You'll also ideally compile supporting evidence like medical records, police reports, and screenshots of threats. But look, if you just don't have access to this kind of evidence or don't have time to get it given that your interview is coming up shortly, it's okay. Don't freak out. While evidence can definitely help a case, you can win asylum without it. It's actually the least important part of all the steps we're discussing today. Alright, if you have a lawyer, they should prepare a legal brief, which lays out the legal arguments for why you should be granted asylum. This can really go a long way in connecting the dots and helping the officer see how you meet each of the asylum eligibility requirements. Your case should also include country conditions information, which consists of reports, articles, and other materials that demonstrate the dangers in your home country. These documents should highlight patterns of violence, persecution, or targeted harm against people like you, reinforcing the claims in your personal statement. The more credible and widely recognized the sources, such as reports from well-known human rights organizations or government agencies, the stronger your case will be. So, in summary, these are the elements of an effective asylum roadmap: declaration, evidence, legal brief, and country conditions information. When packaging your asylum roadmap, ensure that all documents are clearly labeled, sequentially numbered, and organized in a way that makes them easy for the officer to navigate. If possible, use a table of contents to guide the officer through your materials quickly. Save this all as a single PDF and email that PDF to the asylum office. Also, print and take a hard copy with you to your interview. Okay, once you've organized your case, the next step is to master it. One of the biggest mistakes asylum seekers make is forgetting details or contradicting themselves in the interview. I can't stress enough how important it is to know your case backward and forward. Read your declaration over and over. Say it out loud. You basically need to memorize it. Memorize key dates, locations, and names. Officers like to test people on those. If you have trouble remembering details, break them down into smaller pieces. Use flashcards to quiz yourself. Record yourself reading your story and listen to it repeatedly. Make a timeline of all the major events in your case so that you can see everything laid out in order. The goal is to make sure that no question catches you off guard and that you don't accidentally say something that looks like an inconsistency, thus calling into question your credibility and possibly justifying a denial. Okay, that's the documents. Now you need to practice. The asylum office is not the place where you should be saying things out loud for the first time. You need to rehearse. You need someone to sit across from you and ask you questions the way an asylum officer would. Find a trusted friend or family member and have them challenge you. They should interrupt you and ask follow-up questions. They should press you for details, just like an asylum officer will. Record yourself and listen back. You'll quickly notice areas where you're struggling or hesitating. If you can, do a professional mock interview with an asylum lawyer. At my firm, we do full-scale mock interviews that simulate the real thing. That way, when you walk into your actual interview, you've already been through the process and know exactly what to expect. Our clients tell us that the mock interview, is the single most helpful thing for them in the entire representation. Okay, last thing, logistics. You need to handle the logistics of your interview well in advance to avoid any last-minute stress. Make sure you know the exact location of your asylum office and plan your transportation, aiming to arrive at least 40 minutes early to account for unexpected delays. Inform your work, school, or whomever else needs to know that you won't be coming in that day. If you live more than an hour or so by car away from the asylum office, I recommend that you plan to go and stay in a hotel near the office the night before your interview. If you'll need an interpreter, confirm their availability as soon as you receive your interview notice. Also, gather all necessary documents, including your interview notice, identification, and original versions of any evidence you submitted, and keep them neatly organized in a binder or folder for easy access during the interview. Be sure to pack a snack and prepare a neat, clean outfit that you can set out the night before your interview. Look, there's no doubt that having an asylum lawyer help you to prepare and present your case is the way to go. But if you can't make that happen, then I hope the plan that I've detailed in this video will help you to get this done on your own. Good luck with your interview. If you're ready to take the next step and get help with your asylum case, call my office today. That number is 713-909-0401. Remember, we help people all over the country, so it doesn't matter where you live. Call us now to schedule an asylum strategy session so we can help you secure your future in America through asylum. Again, I'm Brian Manning, and it's an honor to serve you in your asylum journey.